Okay, now I'm going to actually create the standard musician, champion, and Grail priest that goes with the Bretonnia men-at-arms unit. I absolutely love this little kit. It's an old kit. It's 20 years old because it's inscribed here 2003. And it's got a lot of charm to it. It's got a lot of interesting little features that we can put on all the different models. There's a lot of interest about this kit. Now, I recall when this kit came out, there was a downside to it, and that downside was, unlike a lot of kits leading up to this point, were the models could be quite well positioned because the legs and the body were separate. This kit is different in that, you know, the whole model's body is in one position. I believe they did that to help with the ranking issues, because when people could position the bodies however they wanted, it could cause problems. However, alternative to that, for those of us who enjoyed kit bashing and combining different kits together, it was a bit limiting, but it's a charming kit. It's got loads of character about it. You've got things like jester heads, you've got like the little weird little rat hound down here, kind of like a very small dog, not a very small dog, but you know, not a big one. You got the Grail priest, who's quite portly with the different heads. You've got things like pipes and bows, and you know, this kind of trend carries on across to the main kit. But I'm only really going to show you how to put this together. But what I've done is I've cut off some pieces from one of the other kits just to show you from the actual regular footmen, basically some of the interesting little quirks that they have, like this helmet and, you know, a few other things. So I'll start off. I think, you know, there's probably a very specific combination. So this guy over here is obviously the Grail priest, banner, musician, and champion, but that doesn't mean that you can't mix and match if you feel like it would add a bit of character to your force. You could also use these as regular you know, militiamen who just have like a slightly better pose. So I think one thing about this kit is it really brings home how, I suppose, deeply common man the Bretonnian peasantry are. So you can see things in, like, there's not a lot of continuity across the armour. They are basically carrying a mismatch of weapons, suggesting that, you know, from a wide range of sources. The general feeling is that, you know, your average peasant is probably potentially lucky to even have a decent weapon. They'll have to maybe go grab it off a mantelpiece when they're called to levy. It could have been passed down through the family. You know, you can't guarantee that they're going to be given anything by their commanders, really. So, you know, there's a lot to this that you can look into, and I do enjoy them. I am not personally going to put the shields on, so I find it too difficult to paint the entire miniature with the shield on. But just to show you, you've got two options with shields. You've got a nice empty front so that you can apply your own pattern. So although I'm not going to apply the shield, it's very simple. Once you clean it up, all you do is you glue it there and put it together. But I don't want that because I want to be able to get right in there and paint everything up properly. So I'm just going to put that to one side. Okay, moving on from there, deciding upon weapon loadout and what kind of you know, what kind of things I want this person to have. There's some nice little heads here. I'm going to go for this one here, just partly because it kind of gives me Night Watch vibes from the Discworld, with the little crest on the top, basically. It looks quite nice, that. I like that crest. It's like a sergeant's badge. And it's, you know, very simple. Glue and then pop on. Now, depending on how you want this posed, and this is something to start thinking about at this stage. What direction do you want him to face? Do you want him to be kind of pointing forward towards the enemies? Do you want him kind of more like on the side so that he's more like standing firm? It does kind of make a difference about the position and the posture you want to go for. So I'm just going to go grab a brace. So far, my other unit champion, I've got him looking very forward. So his sword is coming right outwards. So I think I prefer this guy more at an angle. And then I'm going to choose this longer, straighter sword here. You've got this curved cutlass style one. Again, those kind of swords are nice if you're trying to tell a particular story. So, you know, they look like kind of like you would expect pirate sword-esque look. So you could maybe imagine that your dukedom is near the coast and the actual villages are near the coast, and you could kind of make it like acting like that. And now, of course, think about these Warhammer. You need to make sure that they're going to rank up and they're not going to really interfere with the other models. I think the only problem I dislike about these Bretonnians is, unlike the skeleton ones where you can go for really beautiful dynamic poses because of their fully articulated parts, you've got fewer options. So you can have here like the sword up, and the problem is if you decide to do it more downwards in a relaxed position, it doesn't look right. You can get it maybe a bit straighter and that is okay, but again, there's not a lot of options about how to make them look dynamic without really engaging in some converting of the model, which I don't really want to take that path at the moment. Now, he's going to have a shield in this arm, so you can see I'm going to stop there with that part. You can also add a few of these, you know, nice little features if you want to. So things like lamps, this little snail that you could put on the ground. I'm not going to put that on, but that's quite a cool little thing to have. Or you can go over to the actual main Bretonnian peasantry kit and maybe take a few of these nice little features. So I think this satchel with a dagger is quite a good little one for this guy to have. If I was doing, say, the peasant bowman, then I would probably want to put a bow on this guy. And there is actually a bow on this kit, which means that across all of the men-at-arms units, you've got a couple of bows spare, for want of a better word, for your champions. It basically means that you can model them a bit different. Okay, so again, this satchel does seem to have a very specific positioning, so it seems to be best around, like wrapping around one of the legs more than anything else. I've found that that's one of the better positions to place it. You may personally decide that you're not going to put these on straight away and glue them later, so when you've actually painted the miniature, but I just thought I'd show you how one of them goes on. I don't mind painting around stuff like this. I can manage to work around it, but of course if you're new to painting, maybe that's something that would be difficult for you and you want to leave off and paint separately. That's you know how easy it is really to start putting these guys together. So I'm going to move on to the banner now, and the reason I'm going to move on to the banner is because I've found that it's a bit of a difficult one to position. And definitely when you start popping it on the base and trying to work out where the legs should go and trying to not interfere with other models in the rank, it can be a bit of a problem. So let me show you how I approach this guy. Just tidy this up all nice. So when you're getting this guy on a base, you've got to think about, you know, which side he's going to be on, where the banner's going to be positioned, you know, the direction of the banner. I show you where I think it's best to put the banner now. So I'll start prepping it. As you can see, you've got a very nice large banner here. And then you've got two options. So you've got this kind of long-beaked bird, and you've got this, oh, I always forget what these are called, these things. Probably a technical term for what they are. But either way, they are basically just a little bit of decoration for the top of the banner. To complete them, you could even put your own personal touch on these. So if you felt like going away, if you've got the Camry box, you might decide to take some skeleton skulls from there and have them on the banner as kind of like their conquest, showing that like they are undead slayers or something like that. I've had campaigns before where I basically added to banners as the campaign has gone on to kind of show victories and things like that. Of course, the problem with doing stuff like that is you can only really do it once. But it can be a bit of fun to add a narrative campaign and actually have a force that changes over time, that develops new appearances and new looks and new abilities. I actually am quite fortunate, as I've got the Warhammer General's Compendium from absolutely years ago with some beautiful ideas for running narrative campaigns, ship battles in Warhammer, and you know, that's probably still valid now, which to me I'm really pleased about. It should still actually be adaptable. Right then, so get this banner prepped and on. So the glue here, and then you'll see what I mean about positioning, hopefully. So if you push this banner too far back and you've got it is halberd armed, these, you're going to get a lot of interference with the back row. So you may want to kind of potentially even put it at an angle just to ensure you don't get too much interference. It's this process now of trying to make sure that things stick where I want them to. I also find about this, it's quite weird. The banner is quite long, so if you look at this banner, it kind of sticks in a bit of a long position, if you notice. I've got to Try and get it to glue now. Stay. Come on, stay. Glue. And there we go. So it's slightly over, but not encroaching too far onto the other base that will be behind it. If you're just worried about it interfering, just see how a model stacks behind it like that, and then you'll know if it's in the right place. Okay, and then naturally we want a head for this guy. So you've got this rather dashing mustachioed gentleman, and this one with a rather jaunty feather in his cap. I think I'll go for that one. You can see here it can actually quite impact where you put that standard, and then when you put the head on it can kind of cause things to knock out, so just be mindful. So if you do need to kind of reposition that banner again, just think about your ranking and make sure you're not going to have difficulty. I think I'm going to have to kind of move this banner. Yeah, actually that's a bit of a pain. I didn't use this plumed hat on the last one, so it wasn't causing me as much grief. But you know what? I can work around this. I'm going to kind of create it a more. I'm going to make it a bit more of a flamboyant positioning, that banner. Push it forward. So that it's like more of a follow me approach. And I suppose your next choice then is, are you going to give him a shield potentially, or are you going to give him a weapon? Now I gave a weapon to my previous standard, so I think for this one I'm going to give him a shield, which means that I'm not going to add any more to that. You can see that banner is going to keep sliding, and I just got to keep correcting it now and then, like carry on falling off, so I just got to be careful. Just maybe correct it now and then as it dries. Now let's go and do this priest. This, as I said, this wonderfully portly gentleman. I do wonder if they're going to re-release, is it Bertrand the Brigand for Bretonnia? The reason I'm not sure if they will is because, if memory serves, he was a end of times character, so he might be too early for the era that we're dealing with. Basically he's Robin Hood. Yeah, he's the Bretonnian Robin Hood, and I really hope that they do that, because and then just kind of rewrite the fluff to basically infer that, you know, he existed during the Empire Civil War instead of during the end times, because he's not in Warhammer Total War either, so I think that's kind of something that they could move around easily. Speaking of Warhammer Total War, or Total War Warhammer, you know, maybe it'll be nice if they carried on updating that game. There's a lot of rich areas to explore, you know, but I know they probably won't. I probably think they're kind of done with the series for now, until they, you know, 10 years down the line when they release a brand new version. I don't know. We'll see what happens, shall we? But I do hope that there's a lot that they could explore. You see, they could do the Kingdom of Ind. They've got whole parts of the map that they haven't sketched out yet. They haven't shown the totality of Cathay and moving into Nippon. There's so much they could expand on that. It would be so nice if they just said, you know what, we can make a Total War 4. And I, for one, would, you know, give them my money without even thinking. Okay. Yeah, be nice as well, because even things like they never touched upon the Araby nation, which I think by the end times was pretty much classed as burned out and spent anyway. So, but again, you know, they are a minor power. Even things like Telia and Estelia, they use Empire units, and, you know, again, little changes would be just lovely. Right, so what we got here is this kind of Grail priest as well, or Grail monk, and dead simple, just these two little things make up his little shrine that he obviously carries into battle and blesses people with. Because you really need a bit of blessing when you're out there on the battlefield. And, you know, you got to admit, for those of you who are big on Monty Python, you can probably see some seriously wacky conversions that you could do, yeah? No doubt about it. This is prime area for the skill converters to do their ridiculous Monty Python and the quest for the Holy Grail. What else could we add? So we've got to add a bit of character to this guy. Now, they do have things like these barrels of ale and these little wood posts and things like that, you know, that you can add to him. After all, I'm sure he's got this grog for medicinal purposes, hasn't he, to help the poor unfortunates who've been injured. I just love, as I said, they're a very charming unit. You can't hide from the fact they're a very charming unit with their little weird optional extras that you can pop onto them for fun. There we go. It's like a big Saint Bernard, isn't he? Right, and finally we can put like another bit of kit on him for, you know, just to make him a bit more interesting. Well, we do have options. We could have like things like the Spiked Club if we wanted to, but we've also got other interesting options, so we could give him like a nice sword arm or something. I'm going to go for a sword. He's going to be a proper fighting priest, this guy. And why not? Yeah. Oh, that sword arm is the wrong side for this one. Where's the sword arm that he can use on that arm? This one here. Yeah, there's a few alternative sword arm sides, which is quite, again, it's quite nice that they do that. They can give you different sides to put things. There we go. There we go. Like a butcher now, isn't he? Big, beefy butcher of a priest. And get him all nicely ranked up. And then finally, we are moving on to our musician. And again, there's different types of musician. I've already used the jester head on one of mine, so I'm going to use the alternative. See on these models there's the mould lines, and I'm trying to get rid of them without going too slow either. Oh. Right, time to put this musician together. I think, yeah, last time I went for the horn, so I'm definitely going for the drum this time. Bit of a horrible mould line on the top of this, stopping it going together. Just to make sure I've got rid of them all. Yeah, you can see here there's like, doesn't really want to settle and sit together, does it? It's quite, I have to make sure it's all properly tidied up this. Again, shall I make sure it is definitely nice and clean? There we go, that's better. Okay, and then there's our drum. Oh, right, we also get things here, like I think there's two, here it is, I knew they were here. Drumsticks. Now, what we might need to do is check like how this can be put on here and look good. So I would suspect that the drum should go on at some kind of angle to give the impression of it being hit and carried. So I think there, what I might need to do is I might need to do the arms and the drum all at once to make sure that I'm happy with the positioning. So if I do the drum here at an angle, I will see if the beaters can go on without kind of knocking it off. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, you can give more of an impression of it being struck if you position it just right. Very difficult one to decide where to position that. In your head you feel like it should be off at an angle, as if it's being smacked along those lines. Yeah, I think I'll keep it like that. I'm happy with that positioning. And now let's give him a nice head. Gosh, I can't help. I'm smacking him to my camera constantly at the moment. I'm going to give him this nice moustache. There we go. Give him that nice moustache. And then we are perfect and done. I mean, if you wanted to as well, there's no harm in using the other kit's heads. So you might decide that if you want everyone to have a kind of brimmed hat, then it's no problem just getting those from the rest of the kit and putting them on instead. And there we go, that's our drummer all nice and done. And that's it. Other than putting shields on when they're painted, that's our kind of command unit for our Bretonnians. So hope you like that video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video where I will hopefully be building some knights.